We're gonna have to go down to that one.
Hey, waiting. Had to get you on speaker.
Everybody rise to the pledge of allegiance.
You look better.
All right.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Westergaard.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Wolfman. Yep. Beckman.
Yep.
Stankin.
Yes.
Councilor Moller will be absent tonight.
Okay, public forum. If you want to speak at public forum, raise your hand. Please come to the podium so that everybody can hear you. If you'd like to speak during one of the agenda items, you could also, we'll call on you for that too. If not, we'll move on to consent agenda. Any additions or corrections?
I do want to just point out that I'd added that extra bill to me for meals for $20.59. But other than that, it's good.
Motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Second. Roll call.
This clock is $1,100 a month, so the $1,100 a month.
Okay, roll call then. Frank.
Yes.
Beckman. Yes. Wolfman.
Yep.
Stankin.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a couple building permits, but we're gonna go through them one at a time. We're gonna do the first one is Jim Bender.
Yes.
We have a couple issues. You wanna talk us through this, Jim?
So my name is James Bender. Wanting to build a house here in Lakeview to basically for garage and future bigger house on the other side. So it's over by the Lakewood. I don't know if you guys know where Lakewood's at. So Lakewood, there's some lots in there that just got purchased from Dean Tiefenthaler. Gary bought some. I bought some. I bought 6 and 7 a year and a half ago on the other side with some lake access. But end result, I decided I want to have a garage here. Well, with the rules to fit in, you can't have a garage with, you get a camper in. I don't want my camper sitting outside. I'm not going to be that person, so I'm putting it inside. So I got some issues in trying to get height, and since I don't have a house, I got another issue on the 16-foot rule. So I'm going to put living quarters as a rental house and a garage. And a few issues I run into is the house needs to be wider to get onto the easement by 8 foot 2 inches. So I'm asking if I can either move the water line to a different spot, which there's different rules, or move the sewer, or whatever I want to do with the city. I want to work with them on my bill to get that done so I can get this width that I want. I guess what I'm asking for is we figure out this easement thing on the, would be the north side, so I can get a building permit approved. And I guess if you have any questions, I'm here for that. And the one thing may come up is the outlot A that's out there. Not in my name right now, it's still in Dean Tiefenthaler's. Gary Manning has that. I bought a portion from him. Got the contract right here for that proof. Because of a lot of purchasing stuff going on, surveying is clear out till June. And the reason it's out till June, I can work with a guy that's never done with any city work here, or I can pick somebody that's worked with the city of Lakeview and just kind of keep the same. He's an independent guy, not a big guy. So he told me June, he's got farm stuff to do, all that, so I'm okay with it. Well, then a couple issues come on. I've got to prove to these guys that I'm really going to own that for my east easement. Because what I'm trying to do is set back to that far back to build to the property line, because now that I own that, and so you guys know I own these 2 lots here, and then this is the lot that I bought, so I'm going to connect these all here. So me owning that allows me to go back to the easement, not building on that easement. So, I guess what I'm here is to resolve the easement mainly on the north side. I don't think there's no issue on the east side with the contract here, so I guess I'm just making sure it's clear cut on the north side of what we want to do there, so I can start building May 1st.
I do want to make sure that everybody's on the same page if we're all looking at this map, and that would show you the shaded area is the 20-foot easement.
So this is where the new
My new line of being.
And then on the back side of that is that lot 12, which is subdivided into those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots. So James proposes to build on lot A, which has that 20-foot easement on the north side. I'd like to work with James as much as possible about allowing him to do what he would like to, but he would propose to encroach 8 feet into that 20-foot easement.
A couple rules are, the reason this is a big deal is because, just so everybody knows that codes, there's a sewer line that's in place there, and the water has to be 10 foot from the sewer line. So the electrical's already in there, the sewer line is not where it should be, which I propose moving that first, but we're just trying to find every option we can find, but the issue is you can't cram everything together there, so we need, right now, looking at it, we need at least 11-foot easement to make it proper with the city.
You need 11 of the 20?
No, you guys need 11. Yes. Just because of, we're not gonna stack stuff on top of each other. I wouldn't wanna be that electrical guy or Jeff coming in to do wires and gotta worry about a water line. So,
It's 11 feet enough to get trucks and stuff in there if we need to get trucks and.
11 would be. We got a lot of 10-foot easements.
Okay.
And all this property is in your name now, on Beacon?
the outlot A, which don't have a legal description yet, is not. The contract's here signed. You can't give a legal description till Jeff from Nemaha, who is my surveyor, and Dean surveyor, and he is a surveyor for this whole thing to start with, but he took over from another guy. He said June before he can give me a survey, and so there's no legal description, no recording that can get done until then. I guess if there's an issue, I'll go pay somebody else and take the money from him and pay somebody else, and it'll get done. So that's gonna be your guys' call, how fast you want it, but I can make it happen in a couple weeks.
So we still have the easement, utility easement area we gotta work out, correct?
Yes, that's our main, I think our main battle. The back part, I don't think is an issue, everything's good for that, but 20 foot is what's there, that's what, I signed the contract with Dean, I know about it, it's there. Whole hard know about it, so it's my issue that I'm trying to ask for the city, that what do I need to pay for, what do I need to do to make this work for the family?
If we take that easement down to 11 feet, that works for your setbacks then, right? So you're not building on the easement, can we do that all the way down there so we don't have this future, or is that not something we can do? I don't know.
You could do that, but at the same token, you could just do 11 foot by James's property and leave the 20 foot there. It still allows for some expanded.
And that's fine with me, because you can never build nothing in the outlot per the way this was set up legally. So that is always gonna be green area forever.
And then we gotta work with our superintendent to figure out how we're gonna get the utilities through there.
Yeah, you know, and so Dean Moltmann is, Dean's got a medical procedure tomorrow, so he's not at the meeting here tonight, but he's expressed some options, has some options laid out about how that could potentially work. Whether it's moving that sewer or allowing the water main to be built underneath James's garage, and that you put the water main in an encasement or a sleeve of some sort of underneath the portions that are built.
We talked quite a bit today.
Yep.
And you said, 2 weeks wouldn't bother you one way or the other. Is there any way we can wait 2 weeks so we can get Dean involved?
Yeah,
And make sure
yep.
we get this the right way? That might give you another 2 weeks to get that outlot A and give
Well,
us.
that's pretty much done as far as we're going until I get Jeff. But yeah, I mean, there's no hurry, I just
Get
wanna
them
start.
documents to Scott so we can see them. Does that make sense to you guys?
No, that's
Take,
fine with me,
can we table that for 2 weeks?
Yep.
if that's all right.
I just want to sign loan paper, so I guess I need some kind of a, I mean, I've already put it off a month.
Well, we want to be able to work with you, we want to make sure it's right, we don't create an issue down the road, because we also, this alley way in here,
Yep.
we want to make sure we get that in the city's name as well, so it's a city alley and not, so we don't have issues like we had in another spot in town. Does that make sense to
I
you?
understand with it.
So let us work through that.
Okay.
We'll put you on the agenda Yes, council.
Okay.
By that time, we should have some more stuff done.
But main thing, we just gotta work that easement there, and I
Just
just
so
wanna
you
know if I sign papers tomorrow before I head off on my vacation tomorrow at 9 o'clock, if I'm gonna be good or not, you know?
Just so you know, we want to work with you too.
Yep.
We want.
I know we can get, yeah, Scott has expressed.
Yep.
We'll make it work, we just gotta, we wanna do it the right way.
Yep, and I'm fine with that, and there's many ways to do it, and you and I have talked, and Dean's got ideas, so, yep, that'll work then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is Dale and Kitty Drays. We're just gonna
Yeah,
cover.
maybe we can do B, C, and D together, everything in those is certainly within order, and we just have any questions on those, otherwise B, C, and D look, are,
Is the council already doing B, C, D together?
I'll make a motion, we approve B, C, D, and E.
Second?
I'll second.
and D.
And D?
I said indeed.
Yep. Roll call.
Okay, hey, I guess before we vote on this, I do want to make sure that everybody understands this, and that's that one about John Snyder, and this property for John is directly to the west of the Andy Meredith duplex down there on Hanson Street. And there's a little bit of a property there that is zoned industrial, has a rickety old fallen down garage on it right now. And John proposes to put up a new storage structure there. You just understand that this is a Quonset type building. It is a arched building on top. And in general, on our accessory buildings, we have a prohibition of Quonset type buildings. But two things: A, it's not accessory to anything. This is the main structure on the property, and then B, it's an industrial zone. So I just want everybody to be well aware of that.
So it would be through E.
Yes, it would be the remainder.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, Beckman,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yep.
Stankham.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 522, this is our second reading
Yep.
for floodplain. A motion to approve.
So make it. Second.
Second, roll call.
Waltman,
Yep.
Frank,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yep.
Stankham.
Yep.
Make a motion, we waive the third reading.
Second,
Second?
roll call.
Waltman,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Stankham.
Yes.
That is done and done then.
Very good. Okay, here's the tough one, resolution 2214. We're gonna variance for Scott Moore and Lynn Malasek.
So, just that the Board of Adjustment has met and has issued a variance to Scott and Linda. They had requested a variance which would allow them to construct a pergola over their front deck. So this is lakeside of their house at 560 Sunset Drive. And the pergola is described as being 30 to 36 inch wide and would run the entire width of the house. It sticks out further than what the neighbors does, and that's why it's in violation then of the front yard setback. But the Board of Adjustment has met, and they have approved this variance, and there's a resolution in the packet then to approve the variance, or you can amend it back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Roll call.
There was no comments on it.
No. I didn't see any.
Okay, Frank,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yep.
Stankham.
Yes.
There you go. Build away.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's
You know
your
it's gonna cost me,
development?
don't you?
What's that?
You know it's gonna cost me by you guys saying yes, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Sympathy card will be in the mail.
I need the loan.
Okay, we have a housing development agreement on the Hanky.
Yeah, so some update on this as far as what proposed incentives could be. And it's just in your council packet, it's on page 2. We met with the Wall Lake Lumber and their development team about potential development of that Hanky property. We had given them a proposal for this incentive based on property taxes, and our incentive was based upon the development of the lot, 25 lots that were proposed, okay? What they will do and would commit to is to develop the 25 lots on the south side of the street also, so they'd be developing 50 lots. And then as they reran our property tax proposal, or our property tax model, it increases the potential amount of city contribution then. So what had been at 506,000, based upon the 50 units and the higher valuations that they had consulted with the Sac County assessor on, the value of those property taxes over 20 years then is the $678,000. The type of incentive, though, is still proposed to remain the same. That fund is used to pay for the water and the electric system installation, and then $10,000 incentive per unit as they're being constructed. So as they're being framed up. So at your seat tonight, you would have seen a sheet that shows development costs there, and this is the same type of same development costs that we've used before for water and electric, other than it shows the 50 connections then for water. So the amount of the cost of the water system goes up proportionately to include those 50 services. Really look at so the total cost of water is $268. Total cost of electric is still $77,000 for now. Total cost of electric and water, $346,000, and the 20-year projected property taxes, then based on that property tax model, $678. So there is the $230-some thousand remaining yet that would be a financial incentive as things are built out. So that remaining incentive then paid the developer as $10,000 per house when the house is framed. So as they're bringing up this notion, basically they're still saying, even with this, the amount of that incentive is not enough to make the project financially feasible. So a couple other things, and those are listed in the council memo, about the rain garden or low impact development stuff, that within their plans they propose estimated cost there of $100,000 for a rain garden or low impact development, and that the city could be open to the notion that we would either apply for and receive grant funding to pay for that low impact development stuff, or the city would consider waiving that fee, potentially reducing the project cost by $100,000. The issue with county ARPA funding that is still pending, and the application has been submitted, but again, it's just in the process, still pending. Another notion that was discussed then was to reduce the road width, and I know the council had showed their desire to have a 31-foot wide road from back of curb to back of curb. With this proposal would say 29 feet, but then allowing the installation of the California curbs or drop curbs so that folks could then park, make additional parking spaces basically in their front yards, and would allow for some additional parking spaces that way. Last item there then that was considered then was to waive tap fees. But Dale or Whitey, you guys want to talk about them, what the committee's thinking was?
Well, we were just trying to work with them the best we could to get to the numbers, because I can't remember the number, they said how many thousands, 100,000 we were apart yet. And these were the ideas we come up with, but yet was not limiting the parking spaces out there, so when it does get developed, we have room for parking so people aren't clogging up the road for emergency vehicles to get through. So that's why we went with the California curve down to the 29 feet from 31 feet. And they seemed open to that. So the homeowner could put cement in front of their place like East Shore Drive is. If that all makes sense. But we still need to go to the county and see about the ARPA funds and whatever else can be done. But I think as a council, we're pretty much all in.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more that we can offer as a city. Again, it's going to be important to see the supervisors and kind of show them our whole plan. And one thing they should know, if we make this happen, it will work. And but they need to be a part of it, and it's important that they
That's what I think, yes, and Whitey as well, and then we also, with the city funds that we're putting into this, the additional funds, we had in the development agreement that they cannot, what's the right word, Scott, that I'm looking for?
About the, what required purchase of product?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep, they can't require people to purchase from them.
100%.
Yep. So,
And I guess we need to have a little bit of that discussion because that was still an issue between
With
the
them.
city and the developer.
yeah.
That this was not a resolved issue. They were not willing to make that commitment.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
One thing, well, one of the things I'd like to see about this development is, you know, it's not just your tax revenue you're talking about. So one of the positives is that those people that buy and build out there will go into our businesses, they will spend money at our businesses, I mean, they have to. And that creates lost revenue that affects the whole county, not just Lakeview. That lost revenue is based on county, so it's an advantage to the county also. It's an advantage to the businesses. It helps keep everything coming in and moving. And I guess I don't quite understand why you care where they buy something. If the person is gonna build there, isn't that between them and the
Well, we don't-
developer? I don't understand why the city wants to be involved in that.
With the city putting the city funds in it, I'm putting when I say I, the council is putting everybody's taxpayer dollars into this development area, and then they're securing the business for themselves. We don't want that, because John Doe might wanna buy his stuff, might be from Sac City, might wanna buy his stuff from Hostage, as an example.
Exactly, but if he doesn't wanna do that, he doesn't buy there. I mean,
So you're well aware of the development down the south end of town where that then lot sat for a long time because of that requirement. And we're trying to eliminate that.
but aren't they gonna be, I mean, that's kind of it's in their ballpark. The city, you know, you've worked out a great development plan, I think, you know,
Thank you.
especially the adjustments that have been made. I just find that peculiar that you care about somebody that's gonna buy a lot out there.
Well, we got other businesses in town that might be able to benefit it besides them. That's where we're coming from. We're trying to be
If
fair to
nobody
everybody.
builds, nobody benefits.
True. True.
It's just my opinion.
So we need some sort of council action to.
Well, yeah, if we could have a council motion basically that we can make these commitments as are outlined. Just understanding, again, so this would be that the city would recognize we'd make these commitments. We still need to enter into a development agreement that would have other components that would still yet to be hashed out then too. But from the financial side of things, it's really looked to be the next step for the developers, because where we were at before, they weren't moving forward. They had some ideas about what they really needed, and this does not fulfill their request about what they would have asked for. But it's still it's of course a very substantial contribution. And
With us approving this, though, it does help them move forward in pursuing more stuff and going with us as a group to the county.
If we do this, all we have to worry about is the
Right.
one other issue, and hopefully
Yeah.
we can work through that.
Right, and we talked about putting that in the development agreement, so.
We might have to have more than one meeting to fix that up. At least it's a start. Ready?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize though also though that we gotta get the county involvement in this thing, and we need to be meeting with them and let them know that we are serious, like I said before, and it's a good thing for everybody, and I understand, where it's hard to make the right decision right away on this with what they sell their product for or whatever that is, but I think we can move on to that part, and then still, they've got the ball's in their court, and they've got to understand what it is.
So
I'd be willing to make a motion that we move forward with what the housing committee has talked about with the updated plans on this to the Brotherton Hankey addition with the changes.
for a second,
I will second that.
roll call.
Beckman,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yes.
Steinkamp.
Yes.
Great, we will get in touch with them, let everybody know where we sit on the financial incentive package, and we'll keep proceeding forward.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is campground manager position. What is our next step?
So, Sandy had submitted a resignation. Without really an effective date on this, she'd be willing to stick around and help us out during this transition period. But as we discuss about recruitment of what the new, recruiting a new campground manager, you know, I guess just a little update on that we've looked at and placed ads already. We've placed ads in the Lakeview Resort, will come out on Wednesday, and the Tri-County Special, that'll come out on Wednesday, and it's listed on Indeed right now. Gotten a couple of applications to start to roll in on Indeed. With that, though, continue to work towards the recruitment and advertise that as the position being open until filled, with the first review of application on the 11th of April, and then also that, excuse me, lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's that we work towards that, filling that position here quickly, with first review on the 11th of April. The other thing that I'd like to discuss tonight, I put an organizational chart on at your desk, an organizational chart and a job description then for the campground. We've had some discussions at previous meetings about looking at having basically two department head level positions. One would be the campground manager, one would be the parks, the buildings and grounds person, and that they would be at the same level in the organizational chart then. In a lot of ways, it functions very similar to that right now. That Eric is the lead person on buildings and grounds, and does a lot of his own work planning and that type of stuff. And it's just had a good relationship with the campground and the campground manager as they work through here. So I want to have that discussion with you too about the structure and when we look at two department head positions.
But these are not full-time with benefits.
And that right now they're not, you know, our positions right now. The campground manager has been about the same for Sandy or Ruth before, would run basically the 1st of April and sneaks into November. And really same thing then with our parks workers. So right now we have Eric and Mark, and they started work today, so they'll be working the months of April, and then they're done around the 15th of November.
So we need a motion to advertise.
We're already
Officially,
advertising.
We haven't had a motion to do that.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we advertise and what, and hire that campground manager as soon as possible.
Second.
I'd like to address the council, could I?
Motion and a second has been made.
Yep, but I'm gonna let her talk. Go ahead.
You want the second made, or what?
We got a second.
Motion and a second has been made.
Yep.
And then there's discussion.
Not
Yes,
after
there
motion
is.
and a second.
Yes, there is. You need to look up the rules.
I know the rules.
I'm not here to complain a lot. Actually, I just wanted to give you a little bit of history. I left my notes at home. There you go. I want to thank Sandy for the job she's done. You know, I was really hoping the council would maybe reconsider. I felt like things, you know, it's tough when you're on the council. Things come at you quickly, and you don't always have a lot of time to look through things or get the history. So hats off to anybody that wants to serve on the council. I really, truly, even if I don't agree, hats off to anybody. I'll tell you that this week, someone said to me, she makes too much money and it's a kick in the teeth when you guys, referring to the council I was on, gave her a $20 wage when Ruth had been getting 14. I had to think through that a little bit, because I knew Ruth was getting 20 now, but I couldn't remember what she was getting prior to. It's easy to quarterback a council, it's easy to quarterback a mayor, it's easy to quarterback, that's probably not the right word, Scott. You know, people are critical and they don't always know all the facts. So just going back a little bit from, and this is just my perspective of what happened, might not be anybody else's. There were issues down at the campground. And I didn't really think about the wages. I mean, you know, they were what they were. And then as I learned more what that position was, the wages weren't adequate. But there were other problems down there. There was almost bullying. There was insubordination. Ruth wasn't being able to lead. There were issues, and so it had to be addressed, and so then the talk began, and the talk began that we didn't have a plan to move forward, you know, with Charlie and Ruth. You know, Ruth's position was tough, and so we needed a transition. It is not easy for a former manager to train the new one coming in, and it's not easy for the new one to constantly have that other one looking at you. And I thought those two women did a great job of trying to work it out. I think they did a good job, both of them. Ruth's wages got raised up to what Sandy's were. You know, two wrongs don't make a right. If she wasn't getting paid enough before, at least she was getting paid the same as Sandy. And I feel like Ruth deserves a lot of extra compensation. Maybe that's not a good city position, but she gave this community, this city, hours and hours that she never got paid for. You know, she went far and above, and you're always gonna have criticism down there. You know, nobody's ever gonna make everybody happy. That is not an easy job down there. So, I just want you to know that going forward, whatever you decide to do, you need to kind of know the history of the employees that worked down there before and some of the issues that were there. So anyway, that's about all I want to say. I think Sandy's done a bang-up job. Those signage she's worked on, she worked all winter. The work she's done on the pickleball court's been phenomenal. The flowers looked great, everything looked great, everything ran. The best year we've ever had at the campground. And when you talk about more employees, when your revenue goes up $100,000 in a couple, 3 years, obviously it takes more people to make that work. So, anyway, I hope you'll reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
I would like to speak, please.
Yes.
My name is Amy, I'm sure everybody knows me, but I have camped down at Camp Crescent for 2 years now, and I really enjoy it. And the last year that Sandy took over, she did a very good job. I actually worked there at the end of the season, and the only reason I did that because she needed people, and I would have never done that for what I got paid, but I did it for Sandy. And my daughter actually worked there, and I had great things about people that said things about Sandy there, and she did a really good job, so I'm really sad to see her leave. Okay.
Thanks, Amy. Anyone else? Kim?
I don't have anything prepared, I usually do. I just look at, so I kind of have been coming to a lot of these meetings the last 6 months or so because I'm kind of interested in this, and it's maybe something that I might be interested in dabbling in down in the future if possible. But I look at it a little differently. I guess I look at the council and I look at the city as a business because that's what I do. I understand things that way. And I kind of look at us as the shareholders and the owners of the business. And I look at you guys as the as our executive board that we hired to put into place to make our business better. And I look at you guys as the people that kind of run the day-to-day things on it. And I'm just disappointed at how things have been going of late. And I'm disappointed at the way that this has arisen with Sandy. I watched the video. We couldn't make it. We had some deaths and births in our family here recently, and so we couldn't make the last meeting, but I watched it online. And I see that there's a tax on, I felt there were a tax on some of our city guys, that they just drive around the lake all day, type conversations. As a business owner, that's not the type of things that I feel that our executive board should be talking about in a public forum. It's gonna be really hard to find help. I'm actually kind of lucky because of this deal with Sandy. I actually am adding somebody, I think, that was gonna come work for you. So your loss is my gain on this deal, which is the way it is in business. And I'm worried that it's gonna continue. Like, what's our long-term goal here? We're losing, you know, we've lost Sandy, who did a hell of a job at the campground. I mean, look at the business model of things. I mean, the campground is run better now than nothing against Ruth, it's just next level again, which is important. You worry about some of these city guys that we obviously don't have enough respect to be friendly to them and bring an open forum that you think that they're not doing their jobs. Where are they gonna go? Like, I assume they can make more money someplace else, these guys. I'm just really concerned at the long term of what's going on here with the council right now. And that's not just to any 2 or 3 or 5, it's all 5. I'm disappointed in all of it. Good help is hard to find. And if you just let somebody walk away because of whatever reason and don't do something to try and keep it, that's a horrible mistake. And so I'm really, you're gonna advertise it now and we're gonna look for somebody. We had somebody doing a bang up job. And now you're gonna bring somebody else in that we don't know, you have no ideas of. And, I mean, are we advertising for the same money we were giving Sandy? Is that the dollar that it is?
I had advertised at 18 to 20.
18 to 20, so less money. So you're 18 to 20 is what, I mean, that's nothing. You can go work at McDonald's for $15 an hour. Why would you want to put up with that crap, you know, at the campground for $18? Just as somebody looking into this, I just don't see the long term here. Why this has gone so far? Why some of the negativity? It's just the negativity of this is just disappointing. And as a shareholder, which is what I look at it as, I'm a shareholder. You're all shareholders. I think you guys need to do better because it's disappointing to me, and I think it's disappointing to a lot of the people that I've been talking about. We've got good people here, keep them here. We obviously don't pay well enough, that they have better opportunities someplace else. I mean, I know you go down the street probably making $20 an hour more money than you're making right now. I'm sorry if I just do the first 15 easy. So at what point do we not have some positive here and not throw people under the bus? And those meetings, if you've got an issue with the guys driving around the lake, or if they're leaving a forklift run or whatever the hell it is, go talk to them on their own. I don't need to hear about it. That's not where it needs to be brought out, in my opinion. The positive vibe of this, the Lakeview lifestyle that we preach about, the positive vibe of this, it's not looking very good these days. It's really disappointing to me.
Jim?
Hi, my name is Linda Drilling. I'd like to talk about micromanaging. I used to be a vice president with an insurance company, and I had over 100 employees in Washington, the state of Washington. And when I relegated directions to my supervisors of a different department, they were responsible for those departments. I did not jump in and interfere unless they failed to do their job. I have no clue, right at this point, who Sandy reported to. Who does she report to?
Me.
You. So if she reports to you, are you unhappy with her performance?
I'm not unhappy with
You're not unhappy with her performance. Were you unhappy with her pay scale?
No.
No. So all of a sudden we've got this peripheral group coming into play on something that is your total authority. I think I would have absolutely fired people at that point had they been working for me. Sandy does not deserve that. She deserves only reporting to one person who gives her direction based on her job description. That person should go to bat for her salary increases, and that person should support her in every way that they can. Somehow I'm not getting that impression. I'm getting the impression that we have a city council that seems to think they have a right to come in and micromanage individuals. Am I wrong?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. I don't think so either. I think we need to get back to letting Scott do his job, as he does with the other managers in the city, and to make those decisions. I don't think it should be coming from our city council, who are there for so many other important jobs. And Sandy, I think you do an exemplary job. And I think you should stay with the city. You can't find anybody better than you.
I agree.
I agree.
And,
Who's gonna take care of
Toulouse?
Uptown Park?
Pardon me?
Who's gonna take care of the park uptown and all the flowers around and manage
Exactly.
the campground and make sure the food's there and, you know?
I think
No,
the council
all of
should go
those
do it, they're
things.
the ones that got
You
rid
know,
of it.
right.
you know, one of
Let them
the,
go down and run it.
They
One
won't
of
be
the
there very
things-
long, I can tell you that.
I just want to keep her
one,
one-on-one.
I know, one of the things I worry about is the revenue. I mean, you know, all of this other stuff is fine too, but if people, you know, that campground has gone up in the last 3 years, it's been terrific, so if they have a bad experience here, because if something happens to Ruth, nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing.
That's right.
I just afraid we're gonna lose money.
And Sandy, you've done a tremendous job on the revenue area. When you have a problem, who do you go to? Scott. And who's the number one person that can get something done in this city? Scott. Okay? So all I'd like to say is, let's get back to management, let's get back to the proper protocols in management, and let's get Sandy back on the payroll.
Anybody else want to say anything? Motions? Go ahead.
So I guess my biggest question is though, how did the council make the decision to compare me to the other department heads? It's not been that way for 30, probably all the years the campground's been there. Like, it's just, that's the way you get hired. Everybody knows as soon as the season starts, that's when the raise comes. And I want it on record, I never one time asked for the dollar. So all that scuttlebutt that's going around town that I came and asked for the dollar, I never asked for nothing.
No, you did not. Scott and I thought you were worth it. I knew I did.
And then it went from, like, you know, everybody gets a standard quarter, but then everybody, all the raises and stuff are coming in, so thank you for putting the dollar in for me. But I never asked for it. And then all of a sudden this night, they got decided that I'm not getting it, and we're gonna put me against all the other department heads. I don't get benefits. If I'm sick,
Here's the thing on that dollar raise.
okay, but do you remember, I didn't ask for it.
I know you didn't,
Okay, so,
but here's the way my mind was working that night was, we talked about the campground the meeting before, right? And we talked about the attendance, everybody, but we didn't talk about you,
okay,
okay? I came to the meeting, the last meeting, and there was that dollar raise for you, okay? And the mayor said, I just threw that in there. We didn't even discuss it. Had it been discussed, my mind could have been changed. But we didn't discuss it one iota. And to me, Sandy, I just assumed, well, I didn't assume, I grouped you as a department head because you are in charge and you're a non-union employee. And we talk about the non-union employees in June. Had we talked about that some more and had some discussion, maybe when we did the campground thing, my mind could have easily been changed.
but you came out with how many employees we hired in this year, and this year, and this year. and
Because
this year.
I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know, because we had never talked about that. We had never talked about, nowhere on there was how many hours total the employees are working.
Well, I may have took you wrong, but the way you said it, it sounded like I was asking for already all these people,
Well, we keep adding more people, but
but the revenue also goes up, and when it's up to
sure,
30,000.
I'm not gonna argue that a bit.
And the other point is, like, when you hire, like, the four concessions people, I have to work around driver's ed with 2 of them, I have to work around volleyball with another, and like, I learned last year that I didn't have enough help. I gave you guys what you asked for, I gave you a schedule, I gave you the July calendar, and I showed you, like, I go to work, I don't, Scott, if you remember, how many days straight without ever taking a day off when I first started. In July, so what I do is I write my name on the schedule when I have to do that shift because we're short. And then I circle where we don't even have enough people to come to work. So I work short all summer. And I want to make sure we have enough people hired. But I just kind of felt like when you said it that way, that I was then gonna get punished, because I didn't know all the stuff you're talking about now. And I get it, you didn't know either.
Well, and
Nobody came to me afterwards and explained nothing to me.
Well, I questioned you also on like the bump outs. You know, you got one person for the bump outs and 4 for the concession. You didn't explain to us how it was gonna operate, you know, whether she's gonna work 2 hours a day or 5 hours a week or
Scott,
anything.
you did ask me, and you know what my answer was?
Well, that night we discussed it, but I didn't know until I asked.
I gave a thing, I had to write out a thing of what each job was.
Pardon?
I had to write out a deal about what each job was.
This goes right back to Scott being the supervisor.
I agree,
It goes
but
right back to Scott
And
being
you
the
railroaded
supervisor.
her. You guys railroaded her.
Well, I'm just saying that the discussion should have been from the supervisor. Yes, I think she needs a wage increase, and I will tell you that campground people always started April 1st with new wages. And we have given non-union people bumps in salary in the middle of the year several times. Go back and do the research.
If somebody doesn't show up for the job, we're not paying that somebody. So that money is there to pay you, available.
And on the bump outs, I told you, it's gonna be hard to explain where the hours are, and it's because I went out and found committees and groups
I
to
agree,
do
but
the job.
we didn't know what it was gonna be, and I agree with you guys that Scott's the lead person, we should have let him handle it.
Correct.
Back it off then.
Yep, yep.
How do we fix it?
Yeah, it's time to
Right,
act
you
it out.
fix it.
But it
Time
just,
to do it and fix it.
Reset it.
Just to be clear, Eric and Mark got a $1 increase also, but that wasn't talked about either. This all came from Scott and I, we interviewed everybody, we put numbers down. And the Scott, and Mark and Eric deserve the dollars, and I felt it.
Propose it
Sandy did
again.
too. No,
Did I say something?
yes, Whitey?
Well, the way I looked at it, I voted to keep for Sandy, that she should have got it, because we've always done it. I've been on the council over 11 years, but since day one, we had the part-time done because they were all part-time. The department head, maybe he was a department head, but she was a part-time and had no benefits. So my feeling is that I think we missed the boat on this one. That's why I voted the way I did. And I said that after the meeting, that she wasn't a full-time employee, and it was a bad thing that happened. So again, she's done the job. I understand she puts a lot of time in, and it's a job that does take a lot of time. And it's important that we have somebody that's qualified. So I guess if we're gonna advertise for somebody, then you need to put a committee together that you think should do it. But Scott and John have been doing such a great job in the past that, we're limited on workers, and it's that simple. So I hope you guys think about difference. I know I think she does a great job, and I know sometimes it's hard, and I've got the old belief that you don't hire somebody back once they quit, but in this case, I think she has an opportunity that she should come back. So that's my 2 cents. So okay.
Wait, anything else?
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call.
So this motion that's still pending here is a motion to advertise and to hire ASAP. Okay,
Roll call.
Woltman,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Frank,
yes.
Steinkamp,
Yes.
Okay,
just understanding, I mean, we're proceeding through the process then about hiring a new campground manager.
Yeah,
Thanks
that's
for
too bad.
everybody's
So how
concern.
does she keep going down that negative road?
reapply?
How does she reapply? I wouldn't if I were you.
I can't imagine how much revenue there is.
Yeah.
I would-
Every now and then you gotta step back and say, oops, we screwed up.
Yeah, we made it.
And we gotta reset.
Especially when there's tons of personal
We
history
did not,
here.
we did not terminate her, she put in her resignation.
I know she did.
You
And
can
I would have
rescind
too
it.
under those circumstances.
Well, then
She had no
what are we
choice.
talking about
She
here?
should not have been forced in that position.
I
We
didn't
did not
force her.
force her into it, but
Oh, yes, you
I
did.
agree, she
Yes,
should
you did.
reapply if that's.
It's called constructive firing.
She was nitpicked at 3 or 4 council meetings, nitpicked.
I think there was a
over.
lot of personal issues going on here then.
I don't think
I
it's
think
personal, because I'm very good
We
friends with
got the-
Sandy,
we
I have
got the
been for
camp-
years.
We got the campground starting open already. We've got to have somebody in that position. She's probably the best we can get in the city of Lakeview. I cannot understand why we can't do a reset and start this thing over and admit we've made a boo-boo.
Why can't you just have a motion to rehire?
Yes,
Rescind the resignation. Yeah, rescind it.
yeah, instead of going down this path. This path is ridiculous. Plus, it's gonna cost money to advertise.
It's very unprofessional.
And you don't know what kind of person you're going to get.
Who's gonna apply to a mess like this?
Yeah.
Especially if you go back to some of the sabotage
Well, I would
employees we
encourage
had
Sandy to
before.
reapply then, if that's up.
It
if you'd
takes
like
a
to do
bigger
that.
person to admit you've made a mistake.
We don't have one here.
Well, thanks for everybody, we'll move on to the city administrator report.
Yeah, we have a few electric issues to discuss, but you wanna go through that outage on Friday, Jeff, and what happened there and where we are with that?
Well, the quick gist of it is, I talked to DGR today and sent them a bunch of pictures of the switch on the south end of town, and we thought maybe it was tracking of dirt, which all the dust and dirt was pretty heavy along the road and that. They've had issues, other people have had issues, there's companies out there that clean them. I looked into that. After I sent the pictures to DGR, and they looked at them, they feel that it was more of a equipment failure than a dirt failure.
It wasn't salt?
They don't believe so. They think the timing of the knives, there's 3 knives, they all have to slam in at the same time. They think the center one, the timing was out, and it didn't go in as far as the other 2. So therefore, you got arcing, and then over time it created heating, and then it melted down that piece of equipment in the center. And when it did that, it arced across another phase, and then that knocked us out.
And you're loop feeding now.
And we're loop feeding now. And I have one of them exact switches ordered that we talked about buying. Is the exact same switch, but we're looking at June,
So we'll backbeat till June.
which is scary.
And it's a $20,000.
It's a $20,000 switch without the base.
Hey Jeff, is there such a thing that we talk to the manufacturer and see what he thinks that it might have been defective from the factory, or how long have we had this in operation, I guess?
That switch is 27 years old, Whitey.
Okay.
When it expired.
I mean, we can, but better get somebody the same thing. It's 27 years old.
Yeah, okay.
How many times did you operate it, you know? I don't.
Yep.
Shit, if I know, I would've been here 20, so.
But thanks for everything you guys did. I know you spent till 8 o'clock, and thanks to Bill
Yeah.
Letters for helping us.
We were trying to beat the dark.
I would help you, but I was
Yeah,
out of town.
and a special thanks to Bill Leonard for coming and helping me with the loop feeding while I had the other guys fixing other little problems, so. His expertise is, very appreciated.
I do wanna take a look at, basically reimbursing Bill for some of that help that he had, and have a consultation fee and.
He run the map, I drove him around, we opened boxes, looking at stuff, figuring loop feeding out, he helped me tremendously on that.
Is this the first time he's helped you? Or has he helped?
He has always answered my call if I have a question.
Okay,
I mean, I've had that working with him from day one.
yeah.
But this time he stuck the whole thing and stayed.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. My first phone call was him, because whose house was out? First phone call. I seen the lights flicker, we were at break, and I seen it flicker, and I thought, that's not good. And it wasn't 10 seconds later, and it's Bill, and I always answer him. And I answered him, he goes, my power just went out. I went, shit. He goes, I'll meet you down there. He goes, I'll help you do whatever I gotta do to get it back on. And that's what I got.
I would certainly, we want to compensate Bill somehow.
Definitely.
Can we
Yeah.
do it as a consultant type fee?
I would think so.
I guess it's just if it's okay with the council, we would look at it, basically a consulting fee on that, and I guess my number's at $500.
Sounds like a plan.
He was with me from 10 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock that night. He did not go home until we went home.
And he didn't have to be there.
No, he didn't. And on top of that, his water heater took a crap that day. So he put it off till the next day. So, that's the kind of guy he is.
As always, did another good job.
Probably didn't want to go home.
That's for him to say, I'm not saying nothing.
That's my observation.
Yeah.
Have we got other electric issues?
Yeah, and a couple other electric things. First of all, just a note that we have the electric plans for the residential subdivision from DGR are done. So we do have those, and we could proceed along then as those developments are ready. But the other thing I really want to point out to you, do you have one of these, Jeff?
No, but I know it.
Yeah. It is the sheet that was here at your table tonight with the DGR map on it. What this is a map of potential areas in the rural system that could have loop feeds. You know, so this come up as we were talking with Randy and Sandy Ashinger about that opportunity up there. But just realize that in total, there's 10 opportunities on the rural system about potentially loop feeding areas there to increase the reliability. And then just the second page there just shows costs of the engineer's estimate of what those costs would be.
Which ones of them have we had the most power outages with in the past? I see there's a line 6 here that's highlighted, or it jumps. You don't know, Dale, and from year to year. I just feel like, okay, if you're gonna do it for one, you got all your other customers out there. They're gonna go, well, you go loop feed to them. Right. You know, I just figure if you're gonna do one, you should look at all. And speaking with DGR, because he's the one that did that for me, the cost of it, the payback is more than 10 years, because you can't predict storms, you can't predict, outages. It could, like he said, you could do all those, all 10 of them, and it'll come through and wipe out the substation, and everybody's out. You can't predict that.
We can't afford to fix it all.
No, and our substation needs attended to more than I feel that we should be doing these loop feeds.
Yes.
Especially when it happens once every 10 years.
So,
This is good.
yep, yeah.
It was worth looking at, Dale, absolutely. But that's an answer for Ashingers that way.
Yep.
Right. If I'm looking at it right, that one's $120,000.
Boy, I think they're number one, aren't they?
Yeah, they're number one. They're 30 to 35. Number 2 is the other one I was looking at then. That feeds a lot of people. And we also talked to, the only tying into 3-phase, we didn't even put them, are all single phase. There's no 3-phase in that. You almost, well, it's not triple, but it's between triple and double your cost from a single to a 3-phase. And there's no real good way to tie the 3-phase together. Because we did look at it, we did talk about it.
It's just cost prohibitive to do that.
That's what he
Anyway,
said.
look at it, yeah.
He does the stuff every day, so. He thinks it's a good idea, but it's not cost effective.
We got other things we need to work on.
Couple other things, here's an update on our lagoon project. You know, when we had left things in the fall, there was a wet spot on the east side of the lagoon. And we had dug a few holes out there with the hope that we'd be able to have them fill up a little bit with water enough that we could get a water sample. Okay, and then in late fall, nothing ever filled up in those holes, and then it froze. So it has now thawed, and we got a little bit of water in the middle hole. So if there's 3 holes on that east side, it's only the middle hole that has any water in it. And we did have enough water there that we could test this. Okay, it tests basically a non-detect for E. coli, which would be the indication then that it's not sewage. Okay, so we may still have some groundwater issues there, but the east side, those holes on the east side would give the indication right now that it's not sewage. So we need to still continue to work with the engineer about drainage issues then, and making sure the groundwater is drained away from their property. Now, we do have another issue out there though too, because over in the Sager systems, between the east Sager and the next one, so between the first 2 to the east, it's pretty wet in between those 2 Sager cells. And there is some type of water that's there now, and they've dug some holes again, looking for be able to get enough water to get a sample out of those. And they're getting some water there. It's just the speculation there that may be a leaking liner of a Sager, and so we're working with the engineer in that regards then too.
Did you get all that, Whitey?
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yes, I did. Excellent.
Sorry, I apologize.
No need.
So we're looking for more water in between there too, so we can test it?
Yeah, we want to know what type of water that is. We got the notice about dust control again, and for many years, we have put dust control on Hanson Street in spring and fall, and we've put dust control on certain places down in the campground during the spring. And would intend to do that again. Looks like it'd be $1,650.
Because Hanson Street's right behind me.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you it is a dust nightmare, and I would even help pay for dust control. It needs to be done once a month, if not once every 3 weeks. Is there any way you would consider that? How much does it cost?
$1,650 for these 2 locations.
Once per year.
That's twice on Hanson Street and once in the campground.
So how much does it cost to do Hanson Street, I guess?
$1,000. So about $500 per application.
So if you
Now,
would
and
do
this
it-
is this pro co-op firm that we've used for a long time. Now and we could potentially continue to use them and see if we can supplement from anything else that you'd like to do, Vicki.
I don't know,
Because there's some
it's
other, I think there's some
terrible.
local guys here.
What about, and that is very dusty down there, what about
It
that-
needs to be paved, but I
ground
know
up,
you
you
can't
know.
do that this year.
Right, but what about like that ground up pavement, you know, if we do street projects, we have that ground up pavement, would that help
Anything would help.
eliminate the dust?
Don't
Is
know
it
that kind
just-
of asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to make sure that you grind it up properly and screen it, just so that the,
Yeah, the stuff we got
The
down there
chunks are
got huge chunks in it,
Okay.
huge chunks.
It'd have to be
of
reground, smaller.
Absolutely.
And most of the city guys go slow, but not all.
I've had 20 years of practice.
I watch to see who's going slow and who's not. But yeah, I would,
We'll take a look at that, see if we can
thank you.
get a little bit more off. Because you're not gonna be the only one affected by the dust. Outlet 20, Jennifer.
Yeah. Jennifer and I have talked about it, it's not good.
We'll figure out something to do it more often.
All right, thank you.
Just have it rain more often.
That'd help.
It helps, I look forward to the rain.
Sac County League is on Thursday. Nemaha hosts Sac County League, but it'll be at Docket again. So,
Need a head count?
Yeah, I'd like to respond back to him, thank you. Mike?
I will try. I'm 90% positive I can be.
David's in town, you can make that maybe?
Okay.
That's what's in Lakeview.
I got a question on the city dump.
Okay.
Are we going to do a controlled burn one of these days, or?
Can't do our burn ban.
The county's in a burn ban, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They got it all ready today and sorted out the root balls in
Well, I
the big
just see
pieces.
the piles getting pretty big down there, and before it gets
and
too
they-
big.
We'll have a problem.
So they pushed a lot of that big stuff off the west end.
Okay.
In the notion that we would go ahead and burn the rest of that, and God, it never occurred to me we're in a burn ban.
We're in a burn ban. Us,
We don't wanna be the ones that break it.
No.
Talk to Jimmy and tell him we're ready to get the burn ban, because we'll have to have 2 inches of rain, won't we, to make that turn away?
I'm not sure the amount, but there's a lot, we've got, on the fire department, we got like, I don't know how many CRP grounds that need to be burnt, but we can't do it until the burn ban's gone. Even the fire department can't do it.
I seen somebody burning today out south and west of Wall Lake.
Yeah, the fire department got called.
I see somebody.
Did they get called?
Somebody out north of town.
Yep.
Yeah, there was one out.
North of town.
Yeah.
I have one other thing I'd like to ask or mention. Jane sent me a thing today from KTIB, and it was about Woodbine, and they're doing a huge housing project down there, and they got some kind of a grant, and they're working with, so I don't know what that all is, but I thought it was very interesting, and, you know, we first went to Woodbine when I first got on the council, and they kind of taught us a lot about how to do economic development and what had worked for them. So a lot of our main streets started with our visit to Woodbine, so I wondered about if you should look at that, Scott, and see if there's, because apparently they were getting a grant from Iowa Economic
IEDA.
Development Authority, right, that's where they were getting it from, so. I don't know, in case you can use it for one of these projects.
My last point is that my birthday will be on Friday, and if I can make it happen, we'll probably take the day off on Friday.
Good day. All that?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn? Second? Meeting adjourned. Thanks for coming.
Sit by me.
I mean, all, not just,
But it's on the south side of the
Oh, you're out of Hi, John.
Hi, Lauren.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah.
I think she was looking for something.
I own these two, which is where
But turns out I was waiting.
but when I bought from Dean, this is a road here. And his request
we
was,
could
that's
have
a
averted
real
this
road.
whole damn thing if
I have
if we would have just talked about it.
golf cart and all that. That's gonna try and store here, because if I park down there, I'm gonna screw up driving around and whatnot, so I decided to buy this lot over here.
They have no professionalism.
I wanted to short my stuff, well, because my house here, I can't have a garage.
Oh, I see.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just put some living quarters in. Well,